Okay, so what we learn in this little thing is really not a whole lot of anything. I drive with no heat, and then I turn the heat on when the battery's almost dead, and the engine still doesn't come on until we're just about out of juice, and I get the heat up to 70 and all that good stuff. But it was a very cold 14-15 degree day, and sometimes you could run with the engine off even with the heat on these days, so it was really kind of a bad test, but here it goes. And so our battery's slowly warming up here. We start at 42 degrees up to 44. Engine's obviously going to stay pretty cold, and we're going to try to turn on some cruise control here. A lot of times I turn on the cruise control, it turns the engine on for some reason. I don't know why. The acceleration isn't anymore. You can see now we're getting up to 38 kilowatts, 39 coming up this hill, accelerating, and still the engine's staying off. I've had colder temperatures where it's turned on, but I've had the heat on, so this was the test to keep the heat off. It's insanely cold in the car. It does say it's 35, but it doesn't feel that warm at all. You can see the battery's up to 46 now. Now let's try to turn on cruise here at 68, and the engine still turns off. At this point I'm kind of debating whether I want to do the whole drive with the heat off, because again it's very cold. It says it's 35 in the car, but it really doesn't feel like that. It's 17 outside. Trying not to breathe real hard because I'm trying to keep the windows from fogging up, actually, because that's one of the negatives of leaving the heat off, is your windows will fog up quite a bit. See if we can make it up this next hill. I don't think this hill's as much as the other hill, so it should stay off just fine. Battery's warming up. We're up to 48 now. I do have the seat heaters on, so I do have that going for me. It is a little toasty, but doesn't fully make up for how incredibly cold the cabin is. So you can see if I turned on the heat, I'd lose about 1 mile of range at this point. Looks like we're at the point now anyway that we can't even make it to our destination with just the electricity range. But here we accelerate on this on-ramp here. 24, 30, there we go, 41, 42, 43, 44. 45 kilowatts, 47 we hit, and still left our engine off. Alright, I'm getting really cold here, so let's try to turn on the heat. I don't think the engine's going to come on anyway, so let's test to see if it would or not. Set it here at 70 or 61 degrees. We'll put it here blowing on my hands because my hands are really cold. I'm going to warm them up a little bit. It's going to take a while for that heat pump to heat up to put out any kind of heat. It's about 2 minutes, and then the fan was on one bar. but it still wasn't putting out any heat. And then at about 30 seconds after it started blowing out 1, it started blowing out 2, but still not feeling any heat coming out of it. Can't really complain though, really faster than the average car. You know, we got heat maybe about 4 minutes in, you get some decent heat. In the average car, at 15 degrees, you start the engine, you're not going to get heat in 4 minutes, that's for sure. And this is all in eco mode. I didn't really test it off eco mode. Later on I turned eco mode off.
Now I feel some heat. We're still at 2 bars. A little bit of heat coming out. I'll turn up 2 more bars to 66. Trying to see if there's a threshold where maybe it would. Look, we got 3 bars of fan now. Still just barely feel the heat. I'm gonna try 68 here. Well, let's try 70. So we're on 70. Still in 3 bars. It is blowing out warm air, but not a whole lot. Cabin is up to 42. This hill doesn't turn on the engine, then I'm going to try to turn off eco heat and see if that turns on our engine, since we're about to run out of energy anyway, but I'm curious if this hill will turn it on. Turn this on. So now I'm going to turn off eco heat cool, and I'm betting that's going to turn the engine on. Off eco heat cool, set at 70, and it's still not didn't turn on the engine. I'm back down to 2 bars now of heat, so that's kind of interesting. Let's go up to 72 and see if we get the engine. There we go, now we got an engine. And we're blowing nice warm air, hot air actually.
So there you go, not the most informative trip in the world, but an interesting little test. I got 232.9 miles to the gallon on a full electric charge. Went 20.4 miles. That was about 14 to 17 degrees Fahrenheit. Didn't use the heat most of the time. Oh, you can see in this video, I got stuck right in front of my garage, so I was jerking the car back and forth. It took about 4 minutes to get it out. Anyway, most of the time used no heat on the trip. 5% electricity was actually used for heat, and 84% of the trip was EV. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. Watch the whole thing, I guess, if you got to this point, or you skipped around or whatever, but why don't you like the little video there if you liked it or dislike it, whatever. And most importantly, subscribe. Help me get up to that 1,000 mark would be beautiful. Thank you much. Any questions or suggestions for any other Prius Prime videos, throw them down in the comments. I always read them. Thank you much. Have fun.